Oh my god. Sorry, we're just laughing about a dad joke. Anyways.
Hello everyone.
Starts off with that. Sorry, we're just laughing about a dad joke. Happy Saturday, everyone. Episode 37.
37.
30
is dirty.
Long day at work, clearly.
Yes.
Episode 37. Today we're going to be talking about the digestive system in a whole as a general topic. We were talking about this just briefly, how in the future we will be discussing each organ more in depth.
That's to do with the digestive
That's
system.
to do with the digestive system, because it's not all about the digestive system. So today's going to be a breakdown 101 on what the digestive system is. We're also going to talk about, or briefly talk about, as always, how it relates to the rest of the body and not just as a biochemical aspect or physical aspect.
So I have a few questions. Is the digestive system only that lining of where the food goes down of, or is it more than just that?
So that lining, what he's talking about, is a small and large intestine. And it's not just that's the digestive system. Your digestive system actually starts from the mouth.
Whoa.
50% of your digestive system starts from the mouth. Why is that?
I guess it's where you chew it.
Okay, well, that's a good answer, because that's, yeah. But when you chew something, or when you start chewing, that's where all of your enzymes start.
Huh.
And the most predominant enzyme is your amylase enzyme. So amylase is the enzyme for the pancreas.
It's like what starts breaking down everything.
Yeah. So what happens is, even just the thought of thinking of food, you start creating enzymes in your mouth.
Is that why I'm salivating thinking about ribs?
Probably.
Nice.
So emotions can create the saliva and the enzymes already in the saliva before even chewing. That's why we say, we think and we see food and we start chewing, or we start digesting when we see food. So
does it communicate to the stomach like what's coming down?
directly.
Oh wow.
Directly. So because what happens is, as you start creating the enzymes here, your body's talking to the rest of your mouth is talking to the rest of the body, saying, start preparing. It's like a communicator system, like a telephone, right? Okay, start preparing, and we're gonna, that whole...
We're sending this down.
Exactly, manufacturing line type of thing, right? So what happens is your hormones are starting kicking in for certain parts of the body, the esophagus, the throat, and whatnot, so it moves properly. And that's another reason why you start breathing, right? And you start breathing, and it goes down the other pipe. There's two pipes when you're breathing. So when you stop breathing, it goes down the right pipe, so it goes down the digestive system. So there's things like that too, but it moves through enzymes and hormones.
Wow.
So you start from the mouth and you just go down the throat, down to the esophagus. The esophagus is part of the digestive system. Why? Because if it doesn't move properly, we'll say, it actually can cause malabsorption into the stomach.
Is that where it decides if you're gonna puke it back out because it's not good for you?
Very possible. Not 100% yes.
Because I would imagine that as you're eating and you're not feeling good, it's not in the intestines yet. It's like somewhere where it's being decided, whoa, this is not good for you.
I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yes, but because that could also be a lack of acidity in the stomach too, and then you feel the acid reflux, which a lot of people feel that. So it's not just because your esophagus isn't working properly. It could also be just due to a lack of low stomach enzymes.
Wow.
So when you have a low stomach enzymes, you feel like you can't finish a meal. You feel like regurgitate.
Throwing up.
Wow, throwing up. Holy shit, I can't speak. Regurgitating. That's gonna bug me. Regurgitating. There you go. My God, I added an extra G in there.
I think we're gonna name it. We're gonna name this podcast that name.
Regurgitating. So you're basically feeling as though you're gonna throw up your food.
Interesting.
So that's where a lot of people feel the acid reflux. But again, the reason why you feel an acid reflux, and we're gonna dive into that in the future podcast, why you feel like you're getting an acid reflux is because your stomach is actually telling you have low stomach enzymes.
Huh. And how do you get more of that, Anthony?
Apple cider vinegar if you don't want supplements. If not, then the best way to have is just supplement with hydrochloric acid or Pepsin. because that's where all the hydrochloric acid and pepsin is in the stomach, and that's what breaks down your food.
You're saying apple cider, meaning like eating an apple is good as well, right?
No, it's the actual vinegar.
Oh.
You need the acidity. So your stomach is the most acidic organ, so it needs the acidity to break down the food, and that's why it's important to have a great acidity in the stomach, because it needs to break down acid foods such as meats and proteins.
Interesting.
So your stomach digests your minerals and your proteins.
So step one, then in that area, the esophagus?
Esophagus.
Esophagus. That's where it starts breaking it down with the apple cider.
Yeah, so, well, it breaks it down in the stomach.
Right.
But in the esophagus, it moves through the esophagus.
Right.
It moves through the esophagus and it goes down into the stomach, where the stomach starts breaking down all the nutrients.
Nice.
That's why we have our hormones, so that the predominantly your estrogen hormone to move, make the esophagus mobile, so it pushes the food down.
Sounds like a lot of chemistry going on over here.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Interesting.
The body, and imagine the body does that so fast and so. It's fascinating how you don't even think of what's going on and just everything's working.
Wow. And they say love at first sight is a chemical reaction.
Your body, my friend. That's why it's important to love yourself.
Yes.
So from
where does
the
it go from
stomach,
there?
it goes into the liver, gallbladder, liver. Mainly the gallbladder to break down. Mainly the liver to break down the foods a little more. That's where all the detox and the.
I have a question now. Are you saying that, okay, so it's now gone down, now it's about to go through all of this beautiful...
Before it even gets there.
Really?
Before it
it's
gets
not even there yet.
Before it gets to the intestines.
Wow.
Your intestines are the last part of the, well, besides your anus, your intestines are the last part of the equation in the digestive system.
Wow.
And that's why it's very important to have proper digestive enzymes, because if you don't break down your foods properly, that's where it gets stuck in your stomach, in your small and large intestine. And that's why everybody feels bloated.
Interesting.
So from the liver, you break down the foods even more. We'll go into that because the liver is the largest organ, the largest detox organ that you have pretty much. And there's a lot of complex aspects, but basically there's 3 phases in the liver that works. Phase 1, methylation, and phase 2. So it breaks down every particle as fine as possible, so it becomes water. So it pushes into the rest of the digestive system. So it pushes into the kidneys, the pancreas, so then will end up digesting your proteins, fats, and carbs at the same time. It also manages your sugar, so that's another reason why people that are diabetic, their pancreas might be very affected. So something to think of is manage your sugars through your pancreas.
So this is how I'm understanding it in my head. Goes to the liver first, so this is food, and now the liver is going to take out what it needs, so it becomes smaller, and now it goes into, after the liver, it goes into the pancreas, you said?
So it goes into, you know what, this is actually something that me and Andrew were just discussing at one point, is when it becomes water soluble, it goes into your phase 3 detoxification, which is your kidneys.
Oh, wow.
So, but then what happens with the rest? Where does it go? Does it go straight into your, because we know that fats is digested through your gallbladder. So your gallbladder, when it digests the fats, all of the bile, when it's proper, is pushed into the small intestine. And that's what lubricates the intestine so that everything moves properly.
Oh, wow.
And that's what feeds the cell walls and all that.
Oh, wow.
So from there, we were talking that what's first? Is it the gallbladder? Is it the kidney? Is it the pancreas? Because the pancreas, again, digests your fats, proteins, and carbs. So if it's going through your liver first, where is it going after? We actually thought of that, and from what we've seen, there's not a straight up answer, because that's where the body is just so smart and it disperses everything into where it needs to go. So if everything is digested properly, it goes into the components where it's supposed to go.
Oh, wow. So you're saying like it's a funnel. It goes here, poof, go into your own areas.
Pretty much. Your body basically takes it and breaks it to its own areas that needs to be digested.
Wow. So sometimes if you're not eating the proper stuff, certain ones don't even get anything.
Exactly. Pretty much, exactly.
Which becomes why you're imbalanced.
Yep. And you lose a lot of electrolytes and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Lack of electrolytes, lack of minerals, vitamins.
Wow. And so then after all this, it goes into...
So from there, so from the small intestine, so from the gallbladder to small intestine, after you get all the movement going on, right? That's where also the your small intestine is where 70% of your immune system is.
Say it again.
70% of your immune system is in your small intestine.
Wow.
So if your gut is all shit, then your immune system is shit.
Wow.
Excuse the language, but yeah,
It's all good.
shit in the small intestine. So if there's a real pile up in the small intestine, then the rest of your gut and the rest of your body is gonna feel affected as well. You're not absorbing your nutrients like it should. So basically, what happens is you're accumulating too much mucus, or you're not getting enough mucus.
And that's where the apple cider helps.
Nope, apple cider is in the stomach. Apple cider is gonna help in the stomach.
And what helps with that?
The large the small intestine.
small
You mean?
intestine.
So the small intestine, what happens is if you're too little mucus, because mucus is good. We could go on a whole topic on mucus, but it's very good to.
This is only an intro.
Yeah, this is
but
just an
message us if that's what you want to go next.
Yeah. So the mucus is there to protect the cell walls, pretty much, and it needs to be properly lubrified. Best way to say it. So if there's too little mucus, then what happens is the gut stays dry. And if the gut stays dry, just like when you see the surface of your hand, they start to crack, and you have bacteria that passes through.
Huh.
So you don't have that, but I have that.
Huh.
Now, if there's too much mucus, then it's potentially that you're not digesting your fats enough, and it comes out through the nose, the throat, the ears, with the earwax. So
Wow.
it could be that. So that means you got to check the gallbladder. But if general rule of thumb to help with the small intestine would be L-glutamine, vitamin E, vitamin A. Just got
Wow.
to test it out. Again, provided that your gallbladder is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it goes into?
Then it goes into the large intestine. So the large intestine, so basically you have your ascending, descending colon, right? So it pushes into the large intestine, where the large intestine is going to do its job, push it out through the cecum, which is the cecum is where all the feces come out. And if you're looking back at the kidneys, I know I'm going a little bit all over the place, but if we go back into the water
Well,
soluble,
it does go all over the place.
Yeah,
Right? Like
exactly.
It's going all around and then
Yeah.
into your anus.
Yeah. So when it comes out through the cecum, the anus, that's where all your soluble foods are coming from.
Wow.
So when it comes out of the digestive system, or the liver, sorry, it's going out through there. But when you have the water soluble, you're going through the kidneys. It's going to filter through the kidneys. As you filter through the kidneys, comes out of the bladder, through the bladder, and then you end up peeing, right? So
Okay,
there's
yeah, that's what I
parts.
always had that question, because you got two exits at the end of the day. So everything that's come into water format is coming out of there because of the gut.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you filter through the liver, yeah, through the gut.
Okay, the liver's deciding which one,
Yeah.
where it goes.
Pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then, to help with the large intestine is basically the probiotics that you can have. The good. So that's where 90% of your bacteria is in the large intestine.
Wow.
So that's where you want to. That's where you want to help with good bacteria, but the good bacteria. Don't kid yourself. You don't always want to go with probiotics. So there's a whole bunch of good nutrients or vitamins and minerals that can help with the large intestine. There's literally a whole list. The only thing is the probiotics. You just have to be careful again, because you don't want to create too much of a bacterial terrain, because then you could cause bad bacteria coming in.
Balance.
Balance, exactly. So that's why the whole point of a probiotic is to repair the cell walls. So it's like, as you filter out and you clean out your whole system, then you put in a probiotic to close up all the cell walls and give it the proper bacteria, so it's good again.
Wow. A lot goes into making sure that you survive.
Yep. Yep. And we didn't even touch on adrenal glands or anything like
We
that.
didn't even start yet.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with the digestive system. But that's just the digestive system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. See, your food goes through a whole journey.
Just like you do. So that's why it's very important to be positive with your food. Because what you eat or ingest, well, basically you're ingesting the same emotions that your body is eating.
Right. That's how you have to always, in the past, we used to, let's be honest, right? We used to show appreciation for our food before we ate it.
Mm-hmm.
We used to, people, okay, I'm not trying to become religious or anything, but they used to show thanks for what they had. But it's not a bad thing to show appreciation for your food without being religion either. Like, it's good to say, I'm really grateful I have this burger right now. The process it went through. Show some love to your food because it's important.
Well, that's what the great gratitude towards your food is, or even when you drink your water, you're putting in the positive affirmations into it, and you're drinking or eating those positive affirmations, and it makes you more positive. Like, there's a big difference.
A great thing that just came into my head is that doctor who recognized that your emotions towards water can actually affect how it formulates crystals later. Mm-hmm. And as you've noticed from the podcast, Anthony brought up all the chemicals, the chemistry that goes on inside of you to break down stuff. So just imagine for a minute, because if water is basic, just imagine how complicated it gets when there's other chemicals going on. And if you're negative, it's affecting all of that. And if it's positive, well, it gets better. It functions properly. So I think that's very important to mention.
And talking about water, water is probably the only nutrient that doesn't get digested or doesn't get filtered through the liver.
Huh.
So it actually gets absorbed by your cells right away. And why is that? It's because of the H2O compound, right? So it gets broken down right away by the acidity in the body, and it just expands to all the other cells.
Which I'm guessing is the most important, because you can only survive up to 3 days without water.
Exactly.
And I would imagine that water really does cause your cells to let the digestive system work properly in the first place.
Yeah, so the water actually helps the fluidity in the body, and it helps push the waste down out through the rest of the digestive system as well. So the more that you're dry, the harder it is for the body to push.
And that's why people who don't drink water are constipated.
Most of the time, yeah. And you know what? Even before going to bed, or when you wake up during the middle of the night and you feel thirsty, it's because you haven't drank enough water throughout the day as well. That's another thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's why you're waking up at night. Drink some water.
It's not the only reason, but yeah, it's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
And the other thing about water is that, yes, there is a thing of overconsumption of water, but most people don't have enough of water. And there is a thing where you can't not digest water, but you can't absorb water properly. So your cells don't absorb water properly, and there's a reason for that. It's because you're living, if we look at emotional characteristics, it's because your body is in a complete survival mode. So what happens is you actually become, I don't want to use the words too vaguely, but intolerant or allergic to your own water.
Interesting.
But that could be a whole different aspect too, because of the compounds that are in water. So it could be the fluoride, the chlorine, whatever. That's obviously, you get as clean water as possible, but majority of the time, if you can't have water, it's because your body is living in survival mode. So your body is extremely stressed.
So you're saying, for example, if you don't drink 2 liters of water,
that should be the bare minimum.
Your body starts to feel like it's in a level of stress for survival.
No, it means that your body is in constant stress no matter what. That because you're living in such a stressful mode, that it's even hard for your body to digest something simple like water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So would you say that minimally when you drink that water, it could reduce a level of stress within you?
100%. You ever drink water and you just feel like just calm sometimes?
Yeah.
That's sometimes what it does.
Would you say that maybe, let's be honest, coffee could be a reason for why stress level is really high?
Yes.
Because if you drink more coffee than water, dehydrates you, making your body feel stressed, and so on and so forth.
Since we're on the topic of coffee,
let's talk about coffee. How does that affect your digestive system?
So coffee is actually very good for us.
For the digestive system?
Let me finish. So it's actually very good for us because it has polyphenols and antioxidants.
Interesting.
So those polyphenols are very beneficial for our cells, pretty much, right? They give us the nutrients we need. They filter out the cells. The antioxidants clean out the cells. Now, for those that drink coffee with sugar and milk stops any antioxidant production whatsoever in the.
So you are recommending black.
Black would be the best. Organic black as much as possible.
And you will not go back.
No, exactly. Drink Organo Gold, you're okay. No, but seriously. So when it filters through the liver, what happens, it actually elevates the liver process to digest.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people that are stressed or they're tired, they have more coffee to feel elevated, but it makes them more tired.
Especially if they add milk.
Especially if they add milk. But what happens is you're actually tiring out your liver.
Oh, wow.
You're tiring out your liver that's already trying to detox what needs to be detoxed.
Wow.
So you're just putting a more stress on the liver, and that's why you're getting more tired even when you drink the coffee. Now, coffee is a stimulant. So what happens with coffee is it actually breaks down, and this is actually part of one of the seminars that I put together. Coffee blocks what's called adenosine. So adenosine is actually a chemical that puts the body to sleep, or just calms the nervous system. So it blocks that chemical from entering the cells or the brain, so that the stimulants, the antioxidants, can give you that boost of energy. The caffeine comes in and gives you that boost of energy.
Okay.
So that's what happens. And that's why people feel energized when they drink coffee. They feel good. They feel like, let's go, I have that pump. But then when you overconsume it and it's not the right quality, or you put stuff inside, or your frappuccinos and stuff, then what happens is you actually get a crash and you get the overload of sugar and all that stuff.
So from what I'm understanding, coffee is good for you if it's fully black, because all the positive things that come out of it isn't being removed due to the milk.
And sugar, exactly. Yeah. And it's good for you provided that you're not stressed already. So a lot of people, they remove coffee on a detox phase simply for that reason, to give the liver some time to digest and to break down the nutrients like it should.
Because then, now you're saying that coffee's good for you, but only when you really need it, right?
Yeah.
If you're overly stressed and you're drinking coffee to give yourself a boost, you're overdoing it.
Yes, depending the person and depending the situation, right? How many times you hear people say, "I just had my 5th coffee a day." It's like, what are you doing with coffee?
And then when you ask them about water,
zero.
What's water?
So technically, just a shot of espresso, you should be having a bottle of water.
Wow.
Or 250 milliliters of bottle of water.
That's actually an important question.
Yeah.
How much water compared to coffee should you dilute it out?
So from a cup of coffee, so it's just double. So a cup of coffee to a bottle of water.
Okay.
So it's doubling it.
So whatever the amount of coffee, you double it. So if it's an espresso,
it's normally 250 milliliters, a glass of water.
a glass of water will help out. But if it's a cup, a nice liter would be enough for that.
Yeah. The other thing is never drink coffee the first thing you do in the morning, because what happens when you wake up?
You're sleepy.
Not just that,
You haven't drank water.
You haven't drank water for 8 hours, so you're already dehydrated.
Makes sense why we have so many angry people in the morning.
Yeah.
Road raging.
But that's true. What happens is if you actually drink either 500 to 100 milliliters, 500 to 1,000 milliliters of water right off the bat, first, not only are you stimulating the digestive system right away, you're stimulating your thermostasis in the body. So you're elevating your blood pressure, not elevating your blood pressure, but you're stimulating it in a proper manner. You're also wakening up certain parts of the organs to work. You're basically oiling up the organs to work properly.
Right.
So you start giving yourself the energy to wake up. And if you add lemon to that, which I know I just said that you only water, even if you have water and lemon, it still filters through the liver. But if you add lemon to that, you add the acidity to help with the stomach, but you also add nutrients to help detox the liver at the same time. So that will help elevate a proper routine in the morning. It's going to help you elevate your energies and detox at the same time.
So, full recommendation is drink water in the morning.
First thing you do.
Drink coffee later, possibly for lunch, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
To give yourself a bit of a boost.
Even mid-afternoon or mid-morning or something like that.
Okay. But not right away, because it can really screw up your digestive system.
Yeah, you're already starting off on a bad note. But you know what? Sometimes I even have coffee after I have my breakfast, just because I have the coffee after my breakfast simply because I just like the hot to digest my foods better before I have water.
But okay.
Because what happens with water is you don't want to have it you don't want to have it during, because it blocks your digestive enzymes from working properly, and you don't want to have it right after either, because again, it's the same concept. You're lowering your stomach acid. So I'll have it 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes after I eat, but I like to have a shot of coffee just to get the digestive, like the heat, so I digest my foods easier.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. That's just how I see it. You can even have it with tea, something hot to digest your foods better.
Oh, that was a good.
The other thing with this is probably something that you should probably do also, since you're into all the energies and dreams and stuff. But one thing you could do with water is drink a glass of water as soon as you wake up in the morning. Like literally, you keep it on your nightstand. You wake up, the 5 seconds after, drink a glass. You'll most likely remember your dream.
I will do this.
Yeah. Or you can even have it before bed, but mainly before, when you wake up in the morning, you put it next to your nightstand, drink, and you should be able to remember your dream.
So we're going to be focusing on the digestive system and all the organs involved with it for the next few podcasts, because we really believe it's important, right?
Yeah.
Like, we wake up every day and we think about things, but let's really believe. I believe in the wisdom within, and full disclosure is what causes you to survive is your digestive system.
Pretty much.
And this is a lot of great information, and we're going to start focusing in. This was more of a 101. Now we're going to go into what those specific things do and what can we do to help that out.
Yep. All right. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
We care. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one.